Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Thanks for checking out my video. So following on from the videos on major and minor triads, today I thought we'd continue looking at the next stage of chord development and discuss what happens when we begin to extend our triads. So the first and most common extension of three-note triads are going to be seventh chords. There are 5 types of seventh chord, and each one gives a very characteristic sound. Seventh chords can be very useful when we are looking to add more colour or more tonality to a progression. Most specifically in this video, we're going to look at dominant 7 chords and the positions on the guitar neck we can use to play them. Now don't panic, whereas triad chords contain 3 notes, a 7th chord does not contain 7. In fact, a 7th chord only uses 1 additional note from our triad, so 4 in total. That note is referred to as the 7th, as it is in fact the 7th degree of our scale. Forming 7th chords is probably a lot easier than you may think, as each 7th chord is based on a triad. In the case of a dominant 7th chord, we start with our major triad, which uses the root, the 3rd and the 5th of our major scale. And we actually add a minor 7 or a flat 7 on top. In the case of C dominant 7, we start with our C major scale. We use C, the root note, E, which is the major 3rd, and G, the 5th, to form our triad. Then we add B flat, which is the minor 7 or the flat 7th. We end up with C, E, G and B flat, and that's our C dominant 7. Dominant 7s can be quite a strange concept, as while we are using a major 3rd interval, we then add a minor 7th, mixing or combining both major and minor intervals. While the interval spacings are unique to our dominant 7 chord, the aspects of combining both major and minor harmony within one chord is a common trait also shared with our major and minor 7 chords. For a better explanation of those chords, check out those videos. If we break up our dominant 7 chord, like we've done in the other videos, we can see that a dominant 7 is built from a major triad, but also a diminished triad. If we use C dominant 7 for an example, we have C, the root note, E, the major 3rd, and G, the 5th, which is our C major triad. And then if we remove the root note, we are left with E, G, and B flat, which is actually an E diminished triad. Dominant 7s have a really unique and pretty awesome sound, and are probably the most used out of all the 7th chords. You will find them in all genres of music, but probably most notably in blues, where more often than not, all chords in an entire progression are written using dominant 7s. The minor 7th interval in this chord creates a distinct tense feeling on an otherwise happy major triad chord. This emotional quality is one, if not the main, essential aspect of blues music, which is really built on a constant feeling of tension and release. In more standard musical harmony, when we use 7s, we use a dominant 7 as our 5 chord in a progression. The flat 7th here creates a stronger pull to our root note or our root chord, and strengthens either the end of a section or the entire song. This movement at the end of a song is usually known as a cadence. A 5-1 movement, i.e. a G7 to C major, is known specifically as a perfect cadence. Dominant 7s can be slightly confusing on a chart, as you most likely will see them written as just a number 7 next to the chord. This can seem pretty strange at first, especially as a dominant 7 uses a flat 7 note rather than a regular 7. And many people when learning, me included, will tend to confuse this with a major 7. Just be aware that a low number 7 next to your chord will always equal a dominant chord. A major 7 you will usually see indicated by either its abbreviated name, a capital M with a 7, or sometimes a small triangle pointing upwards, again next to a 7. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, don't panic, as theory can be quite complicated. And what's most important today is you simply understand the structure of the chords and really just the positions. Anyway, just like all our other chords and scales we've looked at so far, I'm going to show you 5 main shapes for these positions. There are of course many more, and I encourage you to experiment and search all over the neck for alternate voicings. The same rule for building our chords applies as it did with triads. As long as you are playing the notes required, you will have the right chords. As long as you're playing the 4 notes you needed for a dominant 7 chord, you're still going to have the dominant 7, regardless of whether or not you are using all 6 strings. When playing 7 chords, we now also have an additional option for our inversions as well. As we have additional note, we are now able to make 3rd inversions by simply putting our 7th on the bottom. Okay, enough talk, let's look at the shapes.